What is up guys, Wraec is here with a new video, and today we are going to take a look at the Destiny transition skill of Star Alchemist Holmes Young. And a little disclaimer before we start, we are going to take a look at the text here. With full testing, we probably still have to wait multiple months. It will take a long time till we finally reach that glorious A6 Destiny rank 6 skill and can really see what those heroes do when they reach that. Till now, we basically take a very educated guess towards it, but still, Holmes Young is fairly interesting. He shook up the meta quite a bit in the past with the CC. Well, it's not really CC, it is a skill effect, Perceptual Disorder it is called, that just makes your own or the enemy heroes poison their allies instead of attacking you, which is absolutely insane. Doesn't work on bosses as it says here, but still, he was used as like a main carry hero, especially at the times when people couldn't afford to have multiple heroes with high attack that were higher attack even than their main damage dealer. So right now, well, of course we can counter him to an extent. Well, I can, for example, in my CC team, I run a Mystic Fairy Freya with higher attack than my Starwing Jara. So she will be Perceptual Disorder if an enemy decides to use it. And that doesn't change a whole lot about my team and its capability of destroying the enemy. So now that is a little bit weaker, of course, but still in his Destiny transition skill, to my surprise, it's not really all about Perceptual Disorder. It's more about the dot aspect, and it's about support. He's really pretty good support hero in his Destiny transition skills. And beyond that, I think he has a role in damage over time teams. And I think we are going to see some insane damage over time teams, not only in PvP, but also in PvE. So let's take a look at the skills here. The base version is not that impressive. When any ally releases active skills, which is great, active skills, already quite insane. Because, well, we are used to like seeing stuff like that on Mystic Fairy Freya or on Mutated Fungus G-Star, where the allies have to do basic skills, and well, if you then decide to use them in the full energy feed, that is just plainly bad. And active skills, on the other hand, you will see all the time, even in regular PvP teams. Of course, they are going to do active skills at one point, and in a full energy feed, obviously, as well. So that is a pretty easy requirement to meet. Consumes 3 layers of transition power to poison 3 random enemies, dealing 1200% of attack damage for 3 rounds, and cannot release this skill without enough layers of transition power. So it's not game-changing in any way. We just poison 3 enemies, most likely when we use an active skill to gain our 6 layers of transition power. There are just going to be 2 other allies doing an active skill, and we poison a few enemies, dealing a bit of damage. 1200% of attack damage is not bad, but I would argue that you probably won't even notice it during a fight. So it's not really about that. Let's see what we can add on to this effect to make it a bit better. First, we have the standard options, 6 layers. I would go probably for the active skill with 6 layers. Has proven in the past to be quite capable, quite good. Then for the second skill, which by the way, this new design makes it way easier to see what you get. You just go down this line. First one, second one, third one, etc. It's pretty nice. It's increased transition skill damage dealt. No, okay. Deals extra damage equal to 8% of the target's max HP. We saw that on other heroes too with the 1500% attack cap. And then we have additionally increased the dot on the target by 20%. I'm still not entirely sure how DH calculated that or calculates that. Couldn't really find that out. But the probability or the ways of using a damage over time thing and buffing that damage over time is of course interesting, especially if you use it in combination with something like EOS or Mutated Fungus G-Star. It is certainly interesting, and I would recommend you experiment with that if you have other heroes on the team that deal huge damage over time effects, or if your Holmes Young is like your main image dealer, has a huge attack stat, which probably most people won't do right now because, well, he doesn't really perform well in PvE. Most damage over time heroes sadly don't, so but that's still interesting. And if you just want to go straight up for the damage, well, you can go for the 1500%. That's probably also quite alright. Then we go for the third one. Additionally, reduce the target's attack by 15% is quite okay, given that we consume 3 layers to target 3 enemies. That's pretty decent. Armor okay-ish, probably not that great. And speed, if your team requires speed, well, it is mostly a PvP thing, I would say. In PvE, the distance to the enemies is often too large to have those 20 or let those 20 make any difference at all. And then in general, I would probably go for the attack here. Fourth one, this one, I took a look and I thought like, well, that's kind of insane. Additionally increases the attack of one ally with the highest attack by 24% for 2 rounds. And I was thinking to myself, well, what if you run a full energy feed, so he does an active every turn, and he gains his 6 layers of transition power every single turn, and then we have 2 allies do active skills as well, so this effect triggers twice, and it's for 2 rounds, so the damage dealer will have it for the end of till the end of this round, and till the end of the next round as well, where we probably can trigger it twice again. Like if you imagine him as a support in a Flame Shrine team, you have like SQH and Mystic Fairy Freya go first, do active skills. Maybe him even going past that or even being first in that team. His effect triggers twice, buffs an LFA, and every time by 24% of attacks, like 48%, and then the next round is still active, but you can trigger it twice again, and you get a 96% attack buff on the highest attack ally. Screams damage in my opinion. Like, screams damage. That's really one that I want to test. Like, this one really is a bit insane. A 96% attack buff for the ally with the highest attack. Like, that could really be a game changer in Flame Shrine. I could see us drop, like, Wraec, for example, just to test that. And then I thought about myself, what if you run Mutated Fungus G-Star in Flame Shrine? And you combine that, and you have this Star Alchemist Holmes Young that buffs damage over time effects, that deals some damage over time himself, and then buffs your Mutated Fungus G-Star's attack by 96%. So I thought like, wow, that's kind of insane. So that's definitely great. 3000% attack damage to all enemies is not a small amount of damage really, given that we trigger it twice after every active skill. Well, not after every active skill, but from every active skill Star Alchemist Holmes Young does, we will get 6 transition power, and then our allies will do 2 active skills, which will trigger that twice. That's what I meant. So that's actually a big amount of damage. Removes 1 random debuff from self is also not bad. It's like free purify, double purify in that sense. So it's kind of nice, but I would probably, in most teams where he isn't the main damage dealer, go for this. And even if he's the main damage dealer, I would definitely test if that doesn't buff himself. If that can buff himself, that will also be kind of interesting for him as a damage dealer. So this one, in my opinion, kind of huge, kind of worth keeping an eye on. And you should know that this exists, because at a later point there might be the time when you search for a hero to buff your damage dealer, and then Star Alchemist Holmes Young might be an option. Okay, 5th one, 8% damage to all poisoned enemies. Decent, with the requirement of them being poisoned. If there's one skill in that I think that DH might not have programmed correctly, and that might be bugged, is probably this one, so definitely check if that even works. And then additionally restores itself HP equal to 20% of max HP. Okay, like, decent is not good. And then 100 speed. Like, I mean, in PvP I would probably go for the speed. I wonder if that really triggers twice with 200 speed is quite good. Other than that, if you just want to deal some damage, take that. And this one's just, yeah, not that great. And the last one, which we'll just check out here because it's better and we can actually scroll down, changes the transition skill to when any ally releases active skills, still the same. If self owns 3 or above layers of transition power, so again, we have to change from consuming 3 layers to just owning 3 layers, so we no longer consume them. Poisons 3 random enemies, dealing 1200% of attack damage for 3 rounds, and increases the damage over time on the targets by 20%. And that's mad. Like, that's really kind of mad. Like, if you think about it, that's the same skill, but then we on top get the damage over time buff, and we can trigger that with every single active skill. We just have him attack once, get his 6 or something transition power. And then you can hit the enemy with like 5 active skills from other team members, and every time triggering that, dealing those 1200% damage to 3 random enemies and then buffing the damage over time 5 times every single round. That could be really insane. I'm looking forward to seeing that combined with Mutanium Fungus G-Star or even an Ithaca. Might be interesting, we'll see about that. If self owns 12 or above layers of transition power, besides all effects of owning 3 or above layers of transition power, interesting, I've not seen that way of wording it. Curious to see how they interpret that. I would say it's to be interpreted as this triggers and this triggers as well. Consumes 12 layers of transition power. We saw that before, basically draining you of the transition power, which is not a big problem, to be honest. Given that we have a lot of easy ways, at least in the energy feed team, to gain those back, but you'll probably want to run him fast in a Flame Shrine team or something with Mutated Fungus G-Star, just so you can gain it back at the beginning of the turn immediately. To increase self-attack by 50%, holy damage by 50%, tail damage reduction by 45%, for 2 rounds and grants self a shield equal to 50% of max HP, that basically turns him into a monster. Those are insane buffs. 50% holy damage attack, all damage reduction, 45%. Basically, in a lot of game modes, if you have a big treasure train, this will just cap you out on all damage reduction, which is insane. We get a huge shield. Yeah, so that's definitely huge. Doesn't really fit a supporter role. If you have him in a home, have kind of good buffs on him, kind of good tenants, well, then this will be enormous. And I could see that. Like, I could see that. I thought about myself. Like, I have this CC team that you might have seen in some streams, which we can take a look at for a second. And it's this. And I thought, like, well, you could easily replace that LFA here, put, like, the Star Alchemist Holmes Young in there, buff him, give him some really huge attack, and run that thing as, like, a CC damage over time team. And I think that would work quite well. We have a lot of energy feed on here, so we would get a lot of active skills. I think that would be some really nice combination, and I would love to test that. And I think if we have like the time when I have a lot of Stellar, because we would need to upgrade him to level 120, and probably then also some soul symbols that I can use for some stuff. And I think he does not have sublimation. Okay, yeah, it's a bit difficult to test. You can see it, like, just to get that, I would have to put sublimations on him, get him to 120 as like a little bit difficult. We have the core at least. So I would love to test that though, this team with like a damage over time. Holmes Young activating the Destiny Transition skill at A6 and something like that. That would be quite interesting. I'm not entirely sure if his tenants are decent. I would doubt that though. It's an older hero. I mean, we have some good tenants here. Well, I can't really complain with EOS in there. That's huge. Another EOS there to fix the slot 3, so that's decent. We got Panda, even with the skin, a hero with the skin, so that's good. And SFX or SSM here. That's decent and well, some common heroes. So yeah, I could definitely run that. That would be quite fun. I would love to test that. Maybe in the future when we reach a Destiny rank 6, then we can test it. Till now, I recommend keeping an eye on that guy. I see a lot of potential there. I see a lot of ways this guy can be good as a support hero, main damage dealer. And I think he will come back. He will have his comeback. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but in a few months, you might see him in PvP again and doing some crazy stuff. So with that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are getting closer to the next milestone. Well, still a bit far away. 9,000 and then 10,000 subscribers. 10,000 subscribers will be huge, honestly. And if you're not in my Discord, make sure to join that as well. Pretty great community there. Also happy that we got so many people together in that Discord. Quite huge. And with that, I wish you a great day. We'll see us in the next one.